Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Solitude in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Dan, we, you know what? A few weeks ago on the show, we talked about Lent and giving things up and how that might be good for us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Apparently, the Lord wasn't getting enough play with the whole Lent thing and decided to all right, fine. Everybody's giving up a lot.
You're all on Lent.
You're all on Lent until further notice, bitches. Oh, my God. This coronavirus has us lenting, everybody.
Oh, my God.
We're going to talk about what we've given up for Lent against our will and what that might mean.
Oh, God, that's really sick. Okay.
Oh, my God. Fuck this. This is
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
again, listeners, we're recording. Frank and I are in the same city, but different worlds.
Different bunkers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I have a story coming out of Sacramento, California.
Sacto.
Sacramento County, to be precise, where health officials have linked roughly 1/3 of coronavirus cases to church gatherings.
What?
Yes.
I'm so totally shocked.
Or not, maybe.
Or not, because I've got some stories coming up. But yes, go on, please.
I mean, there's not too much more than that. They
How did they do this?
How did they do it? Because they've been tracing stuff back.
Okay.
They're, they're just like, most of the country at this point. They are under sort of a general lockdown situation,
Right.
a safer at home or whatever type
Right.
order. And, so there's a statement from, in a press release. It says, Sacramento County is urging, and not just because the public health order calls for it, all residents from all faiths and all backgrounds to stay home. Lives in our communities depend on it. It's disgusting that this has to be said. The churches, for whatever reason, think they're essential. And here's the thing: if you're a person of faith, okay, fine. Your faith is essential to you, right?
Right.
If that's what your worldview is, that doesn't mean that you have to like these fucking pastors who think they're just like the centers of the universe, right?
Oh my God.
And they're like if somebody skips church once, their soul is doomed forever or whatnot. Just to put this into a little bit of perspective, even Mike Pence, Vice President Pence, right?
Right.
We all know.
Mr. won't go into the same room with a woman because he's terrified of Jesus.
Yes. Okay.
And also
this
because
guy,
he's gay, but whatever.
this guy, he says that the churches should limit gatherings to 10 people.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is a blanket rule, and there is absolutely no reason that as a person of faith you have to somehow find yourself disconnected from whatever deity you feel like you have a connection with, right?
No.
Just modify how you're doing it. Guess what? That fictional God will understand, I promise you, right?
Right. Well,
So-
he sent the goddamn virus. Why would he be mad at you for avoiding it?
Because it's a test, Dan.
It is
It's a test of your faith.
No,
Are you going to show up or not, Dan?
It's an intelligence
Get
test.
tough, when times get tough, Dan, are you gonna be a quitter, or are you gonna be a man of faith, Dan? And are you gonna keep going to church? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I know.
It's fucking ridiculous.
As a
It's
matter of
making
fact,
me crazy.
I'm gonna-
1/3.
Oh my God, that's great. I mean, it's exactly what we would have expected. And I'm going to let that be the transition point to my story,
Okay.
which is actually a collection of stories. We don't have time on this show to do all of the stories about idiot religious people gathering together. I saw a thing on Facebook just today. I'm actually not being on Facebook, but I have to go and check in on, like, you know, little things, the members only lounge, that sort of thing. I don't check in much, but right now I'm not doing the Facebook thing like I used to.
Really?
But I happened to see one thing that was a guy not in Utah, but in Provo, which is sort of like,
that's in Utah.
Oh, I meant not in Salt Lake.
Okay.
It is in Utah. Provo's definitely in Utah. In Utah County, which is the worst human pile of garbage you can imagine.
Worst of all the counties.
And it was a group of people sitting together under these tents, just showing that they still have their freedom and defying these overreaching governors and whatever. And it was just like,
yeah,
you know what this is for, right? It's not about controlling you. It's about saving people's lives. But there you go. So I'm going to take us to a few places. First of all, Texas, where Pastor Robert Jeffers, who is a dickhead, he's sort of in the inner sanctum with Donald Trump, and just one of the worst guys ever. Said he, a couple weeks ago, said, quote, "I know some people are saying, well, the NBA is canceling games. Why don't you cancel church services? What we do is more important than what the NBA is doing." Okay, right. He goes on to say that worship is essential. That was a couple weeks ago when we all knew that, like, this shouldn't be what he's saying. Well, now he's singing a different tune and saying, quote, "There are a few fanatical nut jobs among evangelicals right now who are doing stupid things like holding mass church services and promising they will heal anybody who has coronavirus." Yeah, dude. That's like exactly your line 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was one thing. But the one I really wanted to get to is a Florida pastor. It had to be Florida, right? It had to be. Named Rodney Howard Brown, pastor of the River at Tampa Bay Church, who...
I've heard of this church before.
Have
We've
you?
talked about this church before. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yep.
He was absolutely adamant that everybody gets to go to church, no matter what. So even though there was an order in place saying that people couldn't gather in groups of more than probably 10 or whatever it was,
right,
he was going to keep his church open. And he did.
Oh, boy.
And the idiots, of course, showed up. Like, between 400 and 500 people came to church.
Oh, my God.
And he was arrested. And that is what's great. He was arrested, he was booked and charged with what was it? Yeah, I don't know. It was a
terrorism.
Couple things. Right. This is also a guy, he also basically he also said that faith, if you have enough faith, your toilet paper will multiply and your food will multiply.
I mean, that is biblical.
Right?
He's not like just making that shit up, right? He didn't come up with that. That sounds like the Bible I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, here's what it was. He was charged with unlawful assembly and violation of public health emergency rules. And then here's another kicker, because it's rare enough. It is absolutely unheard of for a faith leader in this stupid country to get in trouble for basically anything.
Right.
But not only was he arrested, then their moron governor down there in Florida decided that church services, religious services, were essential activities. So he modified the order so that those are counted as essential activities, and you can't be arrested anymore. So then people ask the sheriff's office, well, so is Brown out of trouble? Howard Brown, that's his last name. Is he out of trouble? And they were like, nope. He did it before that happened. This was not a retroactive order. He's still under arrest, or he's still been arrested and charged.
Nice. Good.
So there you go.
Boy.
There are some people who are actually facing a tiny bit of trouble. I got a report of a guy in Louisiana. It's not like Louisiana is an insane hotbed of this deadly disease,
Right.
or anything. It's not like it's one of the hot spots in the country or anything.
Right.
But yeah, he is determined that he's going to keep all of his churches open, and so he has. He's been busing people into his church.
If it wasn't irresponsible for the larger sort of community that surrounds them,
yeah,
I would just be like, I would gleefully let them get each other all sick, but that's not a good thing.
But it's not about them. It's about everyone around them. It's
exactly.
about them spreading it, and it's about this cavalier attitude, which can also be contagious.
Right.
If you have this attitude that like, you know what, I went to church and it didn't affect me none, so it's probably just bullshit. And then and then you say that to enough people, and they stop like keeping themselves at home, and then things get worse.
Yeah.
And the curve remains unflat.
Yeah, I know, but I really do want these scofflaws to get sick.
Yeah,
I just do. I think it would be. It's the it's justice, right? It's
to
karma.
some extent.
It's instant karma, right?
It is.
Like you want instant karma. You want immediate results, but it's just
except that that's not how karma actually works. The way karma actually works is it doesn't work at all, and what happens is that a bunch of scofflaw idiots get together, and then somebody nice who's been working really hard to be careful happens to pass one of them when they have to go back to the grocery store, and then they've got it, and they're the ones who die.
Right. Absolutely.
There's no such thing as karma. It's bullshit. That's the takeaway for this week's show. Good night, everybody.
Okay, that's not true. Coming up now.
Yeah, you got more stories. We got more stories.
So Dan, sometimes, in a moment such as this, people like to take advantage of the moment, right?
Yes.
And so this is the story of 3 states that we're trying to, and I believe there are more that have tried this, but it's specifically about Alabama, Ohio, and Texas that issued orders that would have limited abortion access due to coronavirus, right? And it was all couched in this whole thing about like how it's non-essential. And one of the more disgusting quotes I read today was talking about how, advocates for abortion, they call it a choice. We're not the ones calling it a choice, right? It's like, fuck you. Quit trying to be... No, I don't like that.
Well, I mean, it is a choice in the same way that, like, taking care of other parts of your health is a choice. Like, I make
but
the
that's
choice.
Not what they're saying. They're saying.
I know.
But anyway, so these 3 states were trying this, and very quickly went before some federal judges in 3 different federal judges in 3 different jurisdictions, and each federal judge has said that it has blocked these orders. So this is about Alabama, because Alabama law, this is, let me see, Federal Judge Myron Thompson, because Alabama law imposes time limits on when women can obtain abortions. The March 27 order is likely to fully prevent some women from exercising their right to obtain an abortion. Yeah. Yep. You saw that situation correctly. And then let's see, Federal Judge Michael Barrett of the Southern District of Ohio. He says that the Ohio Department of Health's order halting non-essential procedures likely places an undue burden on a woman's right to choose a pre-viability abortion, and thus violates her right to privacy guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. He said that its enforcement would per se inflict irreparable harm. And the judge down in Texas says that the Attorney General's interpretation of the executive order prevents Texas women from exercising what the Supreme Court has declared is their fundamental constitutional right to terminate a pregnancy before a fetus is viable. And so they saw through these orders and what, these people were trying to do. And
the bullshit justifications for them and stuff.
Yeah, just, this opportunistic, just like, disgusting attempt to use a moment of crisis, right?
Yeah.
To as just another assault on women's rights. And it's not the end of these sorts of things, but it's good to see 3 judges all just concurrently. No, that's stupid. You can't do that.
That is good to see, and a little bit shocking, to be perfectly honest. At this point, that feels surprising.
At least one of these I remember from the article was George W. Bush appointee when he was
all right,
president, I guess.
Well, that's good. It's a signal maybe to these people, Project Blitz assholes, that maybe their plan won't work.
Yeah, I hope.
I'm not sure.
It won't make. They're not going to stop, but
no.
But there you go.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the fact that evangelical Christians, who are by far in this country the biggest proponents of trying to get rid of abortion rights because they think it's murder, they only had that opinion starting in the 80s.
Right.
For decades and decades, hundreds of years, they didn't care. It wasn't on their radar as an issue that they cared about. And then some politicians got them to care about it so that they could get reelected. And now they think, if you ask them, they think it's been that way for forever.
Yeah.
It's not like it's infuriating. Anyway, I am going to move on. In New York City, in Central Park, there is now a field hospital that has been set up, which we're a war zone now. Apparently, that's what we are. Over in the famed East Meadow area of New York. And I think that's great. But it was set up by a group called Samaritan's Purse. Now, before you say anything, yes, that is my nickname for my testicles. But it's also a group, a Christian group, run by none other than Mr. Franklin Graham. So, it's great that they're setting up some extra hospital beds, some extra help. I think, New York certainly needs the help, and I'm glad that they're getting it. Here's the problem, and this is what a lot of people, including New York City Council Speaker Corey Johnson and many others, have said. The problem is that Samaritan's Purse, as an organization, requires all of their workers, including their medical workers, all their doctors, their nurses, and everything, to sign an 11-point statement of faith, which says, among other things, that they believe that marriage is exclusively the union of one genetic male and one genetic female.
Oh, God.
So the LGBT community is very rightly wondering aloud, hey, are they actually going to help us? Because
fair question.
It's a fair fucking question. Now, of course, this sparked outrage in Mr. Graham, who couldn't believe that anyone would even ask the question, and said, we provide our services to everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation. We don't discriminate, period.
No, except that you do.
Yeah, except that the whole reason we're bringing it up is because you very clearly do. Now, he's making a distinction between, we discriminate only for people we hire, not for people we treat. But it's a little hazy. That's a bit hazy of a question. When you discriminate against one, I think it's reasonable for us to question.
And to be honest, and if that's sort of your hiring policy, how is that going to trickle down to the patients as far as so you do take care of, gay people or, trans people or whatever, whoever comes in, because you don't discriminate, right?
Right.
But really, you've just hired an entire workforce that agrees with that statement. They're really going to treat these people well. They might treat their symptoms, but they're going to also walk around judging them and trying to convert them from their sinful ways. Come on.
You've hired a staff of bigots.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to believe that they're going to work just as hard to save a flamboyant drag queen as they are to save some church-going whatever. I don't think I have that much confidence.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting thing. How, God forbid there's a situation where they have to make one of these ethical decisions of who gets the life-saving treatment or not. Right.
Yeah, if you've got an old woman who's, in her 90s or in her 80s who happens to be wearing a cross around her neck, are you keeping her on the ventilator, or are you giving it to the young gay person or the young trans person?
Right.
It's like one of those things where these ethical questions are not easy ever. And when it comes down to who, one person's going to get to live and one person is definitely going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest thing that a medical professional has to face, and God bless them all for even taking it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't trust these people to do that.
Gross. Franklin Graham, go fuck yourself.
Well, he doesn't have to. He's got a pool boy for that.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
Here's a decision, probably a good one. Right?
Oh, good decision. That's nice.
I know. Coming out of Saudi Arabia. Not exactly a source of good decisions. Typically.
It tends not to be a flowing font of the best decision making. No.
The kingdom of Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes.
They've taken the extraordinary decision to close off. And we've heard about this, the holy cities of Mecca and Medina, right?
Right.
This is that was a big deal. They did that back in February. Apparently, this hasn't been done since the 1918 Spanish flu epidemic, right? And so big deal. Well, now they're saying to anybody that's planning on doing Hajj, which is pilgrimage to Mecca, they're saying stay home, don't come.
Wow.
That's essentially they're telling 1 million, more than 1 million Muslims who would be coming to delay their plans this year, and that's that.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
because that was meant to be in July, right? This year.
I was kind of scouring this article for when, and it doesn't really say. It just sort of assumes.
I just Googled. It's July 28th through August 2nd. So I mean, it's the right thing to do. It's probably far enough away that they could have said we'll play it by ear, but it's good that they're. Yeah, that's really great.
I mean, essentially, I guess that is kind of what they're doing. They're saying don't book anything yet, right?
Oh, interesting.
They're saying that, don't come, don't plan on coming, but if everything clears up, then okay, you can come.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's once again the takeaway is always the same. We've been saying this for a couple weeks now, but it's just your faith is meaningful until real things happen. And then it's
except for these dipshits in the South with their churches, right?
Hey, they're the ones that truly believe, and God bless them, and we'll see them in the next life because they'll get there before we do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to talk about now the churches that aren't meeting anymore.
Oh.
At least not
kudos?
in person.
Are we sending out kudos?
Well, maybe more condolences. Here's the thing. Not all churches have been set up for online church, but they want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, now's the time. Now they're trying to be responsible. They're trying to say, don't come to church. We'll come to you.
Yeah.
And we'll do it because this is the information age. We got the internet now, baby. We can do whatever we got to do.
Yeah.
We got high, speeds that can deliver a high, good video conferencing for all.
Yeah. Just download an app.
They're doing Zoom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So many of them are out there doing Zoom. Here's the problem with Zoom. If you say, hey, everybody at our church, we're not doing church, don't come to church, but we're going to do it on Zoom. Everybody can show up. We'll all be able to see each other's faces. Well, there are people who are not good actors in the world. There's a whole lot of people with computers and lots of time on their hands, and they've been Zoom bombing the church services.
What does that mean?
It means that not everybody is savvy about how they set up a Zoom conference, and so file sharing can be a thing, and so people are sending around horrible messages or
dirty pictures. Are they
if everybody's face is allowed to be on there, maybe it's not somebody's face that's suddenly in front of a camera. Apparently, church services have been because you get to be anonymous. So, people's genitals are showing up, and apparently, a synagogue was crashed by Nazis. That's shitty.
That's not funny.
Yeah, that's not funny at all. But the
genitals were funny, but that's not funny.
Apparently, one live streamed church service was hacked and replaced with porn. That's pretty good. I want to be clear. I am saying don't do this.
No, don't do it.
To our listeners.
No,
do not do this.
It's not nice. It's nice. It might be trolling. It might be funny, but it's not nice.
Online trolling in general, unless you're clever and not mean, it's not. It's never funny, and it's never cool, and it's stupid and whatever. And most of it is really stupid. Most of it's hateful and bad.
Yeah.
Every now and then, some of it's clever.
Right.
But yeah, don't do this. But the churches are having to learn the tech so fast because that's the world we live in.
What if you just got into one of these things and you're there, your face is there and everything, and then you just got I don't know translated. Right in that moment, right? You got raptured, right on camera.
Oh my God, that'd be so amazing. Could you? Oh, somebody should set it up so that they literally have 30 or 40 people who are all in a Zoom church, and then one by one people just start
get raptured.
zipping up. They get raptured, and then everybody else is left to go. Wait,
why am I still here? Take me, Lord Jesus. Take me.
Oh, okay. Do that one. If you have the capacity, don't do the other stuff. But if you have the ability, if you have the tech savvy and the know-how and a bunch of good friends who will be willing to do it, set it up, hack in, do whatever you got to do. Make it good, though. It's got to be good, and it's got to be recorded, and then everything will be good in the world. Speaking of Zoom, I'm gonna jump something in here.
Oh,
you and I have been we've been brainstorming about ways to connect with our listeners while this whole shit is happening.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that we should do something like a Zoom meetup.
Let's do it.
So here's what I'm thinking. Everybody who wants to be part of the Zoom meetup, because I want to learn a lesson from these churches and not just open it up to everybody and not just say out a name on or an address on the air. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be a part of a Zoom meetup with us and we'll all just sort of vent our feelings and talk about things and stuff, just shoot shit.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. Send us an email, which is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Maybe put Zoom in the in the subject line. So
that's right. Zoom in the subject line. Send us an email, and we will get something together in the next week.
Yeah,
and send it out to you guys, and we'll hopefully we can all just sort of and we'll try and be in the same spot at the same time, but we'll also record it and throw it on our YouTube page or whatever.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea.
I think we should do that. So we're gonna do it, and you guys, it's on you to get yourself on the list, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool.
So we'll try and say it again later in the show, or just to remind people, but. Maybe pause the show right now if you want to and send us that email.
All right.
Speaking of which, if you want to send us an email about anything else, we'll just say it one more time. It's podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you could call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. Also, find us on Twitter at TGIAtheist. I've been posting about my Chia Sophia head, so, it's
wonderful. Wonderful.
Check that out.
You don't want to miss it.
So, Dan.
Yes.
Coronavirus, obviously, it's all coronavirus all the time right now. And that's really also seems to be the case also for religious types. That's all they can talk about, right?
Well, because it's either the end times or it's what they're fighting. It's great fodder for them. Everybody's terrified. That's what they love.
Oh, it's
just
the
best
best
thing.
And that comet that's coming in like a couple weeks, which is for real, right? Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I read something about it.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for that to be spun into all of this as an end time sign,
right?
But anyway, well, Kurt Landry, Dan, do we know this name?
It's not one that I've seen recently before. Okay. I don't recognize the guy, but we got some good faith leaders out there. There's plenty. It's an unending well.
Well, this guy's got a warning for us all, Dan.
He does.
So let's hear what his warning is all about.
I'm telling you right now, do not pray, do not hope, do not think, oh, praise God, they're going to have a vaccine. That vaccine is from the pit of hell. Okay? Do not pray for those vaccines, and do not take the vaccine. These vaccines are coming. They're not going to be good. They're not good for you physically and spiritually. They're a setup for what shall come later. This is the first step. This is not the mark of the beast. This is not the ID chip. But what will happen with this, and this is the order I believe it will happen in, is they're going to bring this next vaccine and they're going to mark, not in the hand and the forehead, but they're going to have a computer record of everybody who does take the vaccine. But more importantly, they're going to take the ones that do not. And basically the ones that won't take the vaccine will be the Jews and the Christians, because we have religious issues to not take it. And so what a way to kind of gather those names up and gather those people up. And so then when it does come time for the mark of the beast to trade and sell, those that, in order to get the mark of the beast, what will happen is for them to put the chip in, you're going to have proof and verification that you've had these vaccines. And then if you won't take the vaccines, then you don't get the mark. You can kind of figure out where that goes. All this is premature. I'm not trying to scare you, but I have to tell you right now, this is where it's going.
Oh, good.
Well, as Uncle Mark on the How to Heretic likes to say, all it makes is sense.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Man, that is some strong thinking right there. I just like
I'm
the
just
idea
terrified for the fact that people might be listening to this guy.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things where they are trying to thin their own herd, and I don't know why. Like it's like literally they're trying to get themselves killed, and for the life of me, I can't figure out what the end game is on that.
Right. And like, it's a horrible thing to say. If they do cause problems for their own community, okay, fine. It's the collateral damage.
Yeah.
It's how isn't gonna just affect these ding dongs. That's the problem. Ugh, makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Anti-vaccine makes me nuts. And then Mark of the Beast crap? Like, come on, man.
Oh, that stuff I love. I mean, they're referencing... Have you ever read Revelation? The book in the Bible?
No, I have to say I haven't.
At
least not since high school.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
You cannot read that book. I don't know how anybody can read that book and think, oh, this was written by a sane person about real things. Because it's not. It was very clearly written by a crazy man in a cave somewhere on a Grecian island, and he was nutballs, and he wrote a bunch of stuff, and people have been trying to interpret it ever since, but it's not interpretable. It's just it's literal gobbledygook. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had some folks contact us.
We did.
Our friend Claire wrote to us. She said, hey, regarding the let the elderly die so the economy can get going again, consider this. I know 3 people under the age of 50, ages 19, 45, and 49, who have the virus. One of them, a mother of 2, is fighting for her life in a medically induced coma on a respirator in the ICU. 5 family members of the 3 sick people are in quarantine. They range in age from 18 to 52. All of them have many decades of productive working lives to live. I'm pretty sure that would affect the economy.
Yeah.
So much for letting elderly people die so we can all get back to work.
Yeah.
Because other people besides the elderly can get the virus. So true.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
And can die. I had a friend who had a good friend of theirs die recently in their 40s. Someone who was in otherwise great health.
Oh Jesus.
It's not a good virus, you guys. This is a legit serious thing. So stay the fuck at home.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, if there's anything we can say, it's just it's kind of the editorial policy of this podcast that you shouldn't do whatever it is the idiot evangelicals are doing. So stay home.
There you go.
We had a voicemail too, did we not?
We do have a voicemail, Dan.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Jonathan calling from Arizona. I'm calling because I couldn't help but notice you bring up the Romanian Orthodox Church and the practice of taking communion off of a spoon. I just wanted to point out that this is common practice throughout the Orthodox Christian world. So you can count on every Sunday liturgy there being literally 100 million believers across the world getting their slimy lips all over that one single spoon in each parish. So that's pretty common. And as far as that little lump of funky stuff on the spoon, that's actually leavened bread that they just kind of dunk in the wine there in the cup and scoop it out. Anyway, and as far as I can tell, there are a lot of churches probably still doing this very day, the last Sunday in March. So isn't that wonderful? And you know why? It's because, and this is a literal quote from an email that I received from our local bishop saying that Jesus Christ is not a transmitter of disease. Isn't that nice? So I guess we'll be putting that to the test with this virus. I don't know. Anyway, I love your show. And be well. Be safe. Bye.
Holy shit!
Gee.
They're serving soggy wine bread on a spoon?
Yeah.
That is literally, you guys have come up with the worst Eucharist. Congratulations. You get the prize. That is the worst of all possible Eucharists.
So it's a 2-for-1 combo? Like you get both at once? You don't do like
you get a soggy wine bread.
Ugh.
That's so gross, you guys. But if that doesn't gross you out, then don't worry. The delivery method will.
Oh God!
Just
why? Oh,
and the line "Jesus doesn't transmit disease." Does that mean that they believe in transubstantiation?
They must.
They must.
They must.
You're drinking soggy Jesus bread. That's so gross.
It's bloody.
Everything about
bloody
it.
Jesus flesh. That's what it is.
Bloody Jesus Flesh.
Yeah.
Was the name of my band in high school. It was a death metal sort of thing.
Yeah,
Bloody Jesus Flesh.
Right.
We didn't last very long, but we had some good cuts. Well,
Yeah,
we have some people to thank, and I'm going to go first because Taru, I'm going to say Taru. I think it's Finnish, and I think that the rule in Finland is that you put the emphasis on the first syllable. So I'm going to say Taru. You can write into us Taru if I'm wrong. Sent us a one-time donation. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. She had a sweet little message to go with it. We really appreciate that.
And over on Patreon, we have some new supporters. Dan, we have a new faithful listener, Blaine. Thank you very much. We have a new beatified listener, Kathy.
Oh.
And we have a new saint, Saint Jim. Can you believe it? Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you guys are great. This is one of those times, as we've said before, where we expect, and it is coming to fruition, that we are going to lose a lot of patrons because
we've seen the total number go down.
Yeah, people's incomes are going away, and I get it, and that's totally fine. We're certainly not mad about it at all.
But Dan, there's another thing here though, which is there are people who have adjusted their support up, which I can't say enough how much that means to me personally, and I'm sure to Dan as well. Just knowing that we have your support like that is really meaningful. So thank you guys, those of you who've thought to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, it's it is nice to have a little bit of income. It supports what we do, and it keeps us sort of doing it. But it's also just, you're right, Frank. It is personally so gratifying, and so I don't know. It's meaningful to us. It's a big deal. So we thank you so much to all of our supporters, and to those of you who can't afford it. Thank you anyway for listening. We sure appreciate that.
Yeah.
Go and give us 5 stars on something so that you counteract the 1-star review that some Christian troll gave us, and that's enough.
Yeah. And Dan, as always, we have our top donor to thank. Our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Oh my gosh, Davis, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that we got to do something nice for Davis.
Yeah.
We're going to throw Davis a party when we can all see each other again.
And Dan, we have a little bit of an offer that we're going to do. Anybody who goes to thankgodimatheist.com and signs up.
That's right. This is a big deal. We should. I buried the lead.
As a new patron, Dan, we're going to send you your very own in this time of need, a Frank and Dan roll of toilet paper.
It doesn't have our faces on it or anything.
No. But
it's just a legitimate, individually wrapped, sanitary roll of toilet paper.
And we're going to send that to you. That's our way of saying thank you. And it doesn't matter the level of support, just any new patron.
Just be sure that you put a note when you sign up. You can send us a note. Just send us a note with your address and request the toilet paper, and you will get it. It's a weird thing to do, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
While supplies last.
Oh,
we actually have quite a lot. But while supplies last, we've been hoarding it.
No.
We've got a whole warehouse full of it. So Don't worry about it. We're good.
No, we don't. But
no, we don't.
I happened to come into a case of toilet paper, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What am I going to do with this?"
Well, we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Stick around. Dan.
Oh, Frank.
We're living in a time of forced isolation.
Yeah.
And a moment where we're having to give up a lot of things that we normally do, that we normally enjoy.
It's crazy.
And it's very odd.
You and I, a lot of people, everybody's giving up a lot.
Yeah.
You and I are giving up, is it now? You're not even supposed to be here.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we had a trip planned to Australia. Dave and I did. We were going to leave. Well, when the show actually is being is dropping, or whatever you want to say, when it's being posted online, that's about when we were going to leave on Saturday. And that has been completely canceled, and fortunately the airline it sounds like we're going to get all of our money back for the tickets and all of that, and we're getting money back from the hotels and whatnot. But yeah, total major bummer. We were going because Dave worked in Australia for like 3 years and has a lot of friends, and we were going to go visit them. And
it's a big deal.
Real bummer.
It is hard to plan a big trip like that.
Yeah.
And it is, and it, it's months of preparation and planning and all this stuff, and then it's just gone.
Just gone.
I have a couple of trips planned. We've already canceled the first one, which is to a nice little jaunt over to New Orleans. I was excited about that.
Yeah.
Haven't been there for a long time.
Yeah.
That's dead in the water. I'm not going anywhere near that state. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no kidding.
And then I got a big other trip to South America planned. That's probably dead too. Depending on the timeline, but I'm pretty sure it's gone. That was Andrea's whole family. That was like my entire in-laws. None of them ever get to go anywhere.
Oh God.
And they've been saving their shekels for years.
Oh God.
To do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's looking like we're probably not going to be able to go.
Oh, what a bummer.
So it's like, yeah, we're in a time where we're giving shit up, and we're doing it because, those of us who are responsible, not, religious attending dickheads, we want to save as many lives as we can. We want to make sure that this thing, Donald Trump just made an announcement that, if we don't I think his good goal was only 250,000 deaths.
The model that he's been looking at, there's a scenario on there where it could be as few as 100,000, and that's what he was originally saying. And I think you're right. I think he's now talking about a slightly higher number. The issue is that, what I've heard about it is that we're not doing everything that we need to do to even hit the number that he's talking about.
Yeah.
We need more states to be on total lockdown. We need more people taking it totally seriously. And I don't know about you guys out there, but I look around and I don't see... I see a lot of people taking it... Well, actually, you don't really see the people who are taking it seriously.
Right, that's the truth.
You only see the people who aren't taking it seriously. But, the streets are empty, and so obviously there's a lot of people taking it very seriously.
Right.
And you go to the supermarket, and I've started seeing masks and whatnot, and that's apparently the next big thing is we're going to be ordered to wear masks when we're in public. So...
Right. And, here's the thing. It's inconvenient and madness-inducing, as we talked about last week. And it's tricky, and a lot of people's relationships are getting a little rocky because this is not how we're used to living our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I want to say, and I mentioned this to you as we were sort of prepping for this segment, and you sounded very skeptical of this comment. But I think that there's a way to do this mindfully. Because when we talked about the whole the giving things up for Lent a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about there might be something positive in giving something up. Now we're being forced to give up a lot. We're being forced to give up our freedom. We can't go to a movie, for Christ's sake. We can't go out to the arts. You can't go to a museum. You can't go to the library and check out a book. There's a lot that we are giving up.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder, I think we've all thought of this, but it is an opportunity. It is to just sort of check in with who are we without those things.
Right.
And who, and can this be a time when new healthy habits are formed, or when new good ideas come to us? I talked about, I've tried painting and I've tried a few things. I think it's just an opportunity to look at your life and sort of, the Etch-a-Sketch has been shook. And, once we get over the initial shock of it, which you and I were saying, initially we were both having a pretty rough time.
Yeah.
As we settle in,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can look at it as a play. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Seems like it's a possibility.
I think I've never really been able to draw anything with those little dials. Like I've always found that to be really, really quite difficult, Dan.
That's an Etch-a-Sketch joke, kids.
No, God, what do I want to make something of this whole moment? I don't know.
I don't think
Dan.
we need to put too much pressure on ourselves. You don't have to emerge a Dalai Lama type, but
yeah. Or what's the whole thing Shakespeare wrote? What did he write during the plague, or something like that?
Oh God!
Or that's how the story goes, right?
Yeah,
was it
there
King
something
Lear
about
or something?
King Lear, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, I've had ideas of maybe I could get the camera out and practice a little bit and shoot some stuff and Dave suggested that I film the squirrels that run along on the fence behind our house, and I was just like,
You should start a webcam, squirrel cam.
I mean, to be honest, there are so many in the yard next to us.
There you go.
But nonetheless, just do something. Just I do need to sort of apply myself onto some kind of hobby, I think. But I mean, but the other side of this whole thing is that I am working from home, right? And while when I'm sure a lot of people who are working from home have discovered this thing of where boy, I can use my time well, right? This job doesn't really take 8 hours a day, huh?
Right, yeah.
It takes 8 hours a day because there are people around me who want to talk and need to talk and want to but actually it turns out maybe don't need to talk. They could have just sent it to me in an email. Because that's how it's working right now, and it's things are running fine, Yeah,
I wonder how many companies are just going to be like, oh, we didn't think this would be good. We're all going to be at home working from home from now on. That's just how we do this now.
Well, my boss asked me, she was like, so how do you like working from home? And I'm like, and I didn't want to be too oh my God, it's amazing. I was like, it's, I find that I'm pretty productive and I'm trying to keep a nice routine and I like it. It's fine. I just wish the world wasn't falling apart around me,
Right.
And I think that's probably adding some stress onto the whole thing, to be honest.
Right. Totally.
It's not like normal working from home. I think that one good thing about working from home right now would be I don't have anything else to do. right? And that wouldn't be the
Right.
case normally. Like I would be like, oh, maybe I could slip away and get some coffee, you know, or
Right.
maybe I could go run some errands. And it's like, there are no errands to run. There's like, I have nothing to do but sit down in the morning and just start working. But I mean, but so that fills my day, and I do feel, and, you know, I mean, there's a little less work, and obviously I don't need 8 hours and everything, but like that has me a little occupied. I actually have a little, little freelance gig that I'm doing at the moment that is also, you know, taking up some time and everything. So like I have things, and there's the podcast, which is taking up, you know, it ends up taking up a good, you know, there's the recording time, and then there's always a couple hours of prep, and then I have to edit it. So that takes up a good number of hours. And so like I'm not going crazy from lack of stuff to do. I'm sort of just right now picking myself up from kind of a spiral of just general blueness, of just like things just felt like they were getting worse and worse. Like you turn on the news, or, you know, I euphemistically turn on the news, you know, you look at the news and read what's going on, and it's like, holy shit, and it just keeps piling on, and I think that was taking some emotional toll. And I think now it's like, okay, you know, as much as this can feel normal, you know, maybe it's not normal, but it's my new routine, and it's starting to feel like a routine, and I'm settling into it. So I don't feel as unsettled, I guess, actually.
Oh, that's good.
Which is really good, because I was really starting to feel pretty just like meh. And I just have
rough.
to go do something, right? And that's it. Like I start feeling all meh, and I just find something to do at this point. So
I mean, I think that there's actually a lot of good advice in just that. It just, like, when you start to feel really blue, the last thing you want to do is anything.
yeah,
But it's a really good idea to just do a thing.
yeah,
It, like, just occupy yourself. Go for a walk. Just move your body.
right,
Occupy your brain.
right. But
Because
yeah.
settling into the funk, settling into the sadness, settling into the despair,
No.
that's definitely the worst option.
Yeah. But I mean, to your question, am I going to come out on the other side of this a better person? Probably not. Right.
I don't know. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's an opportunity to just look at some of your little habits, your daily habits, and maybe change something a little bit. It doesn't have to be a big thing. But I will say this. I genuinely think I'm going to be a slightly different person coming out of this than I was going into it. And so now it's becoming something where I want to sort of have a say in what those changes might be. I don't want to just let them happen. I want to sort of, if I can, find a way to add some guidance, some wisdom to what those changes end up being.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think if there's any sort of difference in my life, it might be that I'll be sort of more mindful of like friends and that kind of those relationships. I think they'll mean more. They always meant a lot, but I just think they'll mean more. They mean more right now when I can't see my people, right? And
Totally.
And we're doing like last night we played games with some friends of ours. Just we all had the app on our phone, and then we had like an iPad, right, that was doing FaceTime, right? And we were
fun,
because the app itself, it's like just one of those where you're playing against your friends, but you're not talking, and you know it doesn't facilitate that, right?
Right.
It's called Ticket to Ride. It's based on a board game. It is a board game. Like you're playing the board game on your phone, and we just kind of made a little night of it, playing the game, right?
Oh, that's fun.
And then talking through FaceTime, and that was a lot of fun. And so yeah, like obviously we're reaching out to these people because they mean so much to us, and I just, if anything, on the other side of it, I just hope that those relationships are that much stronger, right?
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
it's. I don't think anyone should feel bad if they don't improve themselves over this time.
No.
It's enough just to survive.
to get through it. Yeah.
Do that first and focus on that. But we all got time on our hands at this point, and you're not going anywhere. So I don't know. Explore your new life. See what it's all about.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. I don't know. We're just two dopes who do a podcast. We're just trying to put something out there into the world.
Yeah.
So if you have thoughts about it, if you have ideas for ways to for what you're doing out in the world now that you're not supposed to leave your home, let us know. Send us an email. That's podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. Also, find us on Twitter at TGIAtheist.
Yeah, do that. Hey, speaking of things, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her work on the Facebook page. Thanks to Amy and Danny in the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We really appreciate you being there. And remember, if you want to be on the Zoom, go to just send us that email with Zoom in the subject line.
Yep. All right, take care, guys. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.